to another one. Today we will be going over how railfanning in Durand is and what to expect. Now stay tuned until the end and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button below. Let's get it to 700 subscribers by the end of the year. Now moving on to where Durand is. Durand is a small rural town in Michigan. On the map it is about 10 minutes southeast from Owasso, Michigan and about 20 minutes from Flint, Michigan. Now that we know where it is, let's move on to learn about the trains that pass through the small town Durand. Starting out on weekday traffic, you can expect to see Canadian National, which are these two engines, Great Lakes Central, Huron and Eastern, and finally, Amtrak. Now for the general schedule. We will start our prototypical day in Durand at approximately 7:55 a.m. Amtrak Blue Water is our first train which arrives at Durand Union Station. The passenger train starts in Port Huron and then ends its journey in Chicago, Illinois. Now our next train in Durand will most likely be a Canadian National train. It really varies if it heads east or if it heads west. If the next train is not a Canadian National, then the next most common train to see after Amtrak would be the Great Lakes Central. The Great Lakes Central is known as a short line railroad that has trackage rights all the way from Ann Arbor, Michigan to Petoskey, Michigan. This might not sound like a short trip, but it definitely isn't big enough to be called a regional. The most common trip that you will see in Durand is the Owasso to Osmer run. As we can see, Osmer is very close to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Now, you may also be asking, what do they do in Osmer? It is where the Great Lakes Central meets the Ann Arbor Railroad. Let's not just go into too much detail and stay in the location of Durand. Now, our last railroad that we will look at that runs through Durand, Michigan is the Huron and Eastern. It is also known as a short line railroad. You can expect to see them come into Durand around 1 p.m. Now let's not forget about the Holly sub that starts in Durand either. It is also owned by the Canadian National, but let's not get too deep in information and about the schedule. Now, moving on to weekend traffic, not much really changes. Although you still get Amtrak and Canadian National, Great Lakes Central and Huron and Eastern are just simply not as common on weekends. You will only see our two short line railroads on the weekends if they have a grain train. Moving on to how many trains you can see on the average weekday. Now, you can see roughly about 15 trains in 24 hours. This is based off of my past experiences in Durand. Also, the amount of trains you can see on the weekend is generally the same. Well, everyone, thank you for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe so that we can keep creating content like this. See you guys in the next one.